A strong field of 35 competitors was greeted by a wet and windy Hampton Downs on the 22nd of October for the opening round of the 2017 and 18 Cox Motorsport Hyosung Cup. Series sponsor and international DJ Carl Cox ditched his annual visit to the Australian MotoGP in order to attend this round, and he was not to be disappointed, with the day providing some amazing action out on track. A mixture of returning and new riders would take to the track for qualifying, with notable absentees being last year's series champion Nathaniel Dipros and runner-up Gavin Veltmeyer. Conditions proved difficult out on circuit, leaving many riders struggling to find grip, but it was Cox Motorsport team rider Nick Burke who made the most of the available traction, and despite a niggling electrical issue, took pole position by just over half a second from Jacob Stroud. Avalon Biddle would take third on the grid, followed by Paiva Santos. Cup newcomer Esmond Williams would put in a brilliant performance to take fifth at his first attempt. It was Santos who appeared happiest after the session, with his fourth place on the grid being his best ever qualifying result.
I couldn't believe when I got fourth on a qualify. I had to check about 4 times. When I finally suck it in and say, okay, I got fourth, I had a little bit of cry, you know.
Despite hopes that the weather would improve, it was not to be, and by the time the lights signalled the start of race 1, conditions had worsened substantially. Capitalising on his excellent qualifying session, Burke made a great start and quickly set about building a huge lead that would never be challenged, his eventual winning margin being a staggering 28 seconds. Slightly further down the grid, Gabriel Tan's race would end almost before it began due to an exhaust header failure, and Hayden Chick's race ended almost as quickly after a fall in turn 5. Chick was uninjured and his bike would be repaired in time for race 2. But all that action was to pale in comparison to Alex Butson's first lap. Having failed to set a time in qualifying, Butson started at the rear of the field and passed a jaw-dropping 23 riders to find himself in third position at the start of lap 2. The hard work was not yet over for Butson, who then settled into an excellent slipstreaming battle with Stroud and Williams, eventually getting the better of the two riders to finish second in what has to be one of the best Cup performances ever. Stroud would finish third, followed by Williams and then Biddle, who had recovered after a difficult first lap. Jason Robinson came home in 6th place, followed by Josh Augustine, Chris Dyson and Michael Patchett. Santos' great day continued when he rounded out the top 10, his best finish to date. Williams' performance as a series rookie was impressive, and the new Plymouth rider was very pleased with his result.
First time on this track, so I had to learn the track and go fast. I was tossing up whether or not to put new tyres on yesterday, whether it was going to rain or not, and decided against it, and luckily enough it was raining, so yeah, it was good.
Hyosung Cup riders will often compete in other non-Cup classes on race day in order to get more track time. This does come with some risk, as Jacob Stroud was to find out when he crashed in turn 3 during a race in the junior class. This left his crew with a bit of work to do in order to be ready for the second Cup race, but some efficient work led by series coordinator Ken Dobson saw it completed well within time, and Stroud was able to take his position on the Le Mans style starting grid for race 2. As the bikes emerged from the gaggle of sprinting riders, it was Hadley Thompson who momentarily stole the show with an incredible jump from 24th on the grid to sit in second place heading into the first corner. Expected to be at the front of the pack, both Stroud and Burke started poorly, with Burke's bike in particular seeming to need the first 100 metres to clear itself before running cleanly from then on. Contrasting Burke and Stroud's start, Patchett had a great getaway and led for the first 2 laps before being passed by a very quick Grant Cullen, who in turn was recovering from his own slow start. As the race progressed, Stroud was able to make good ground and slowly hunted Cullen down until he swept by on the last lap to take victory. Patchett took the final podium position, followed by Biddle and Burke, who like Stroud had managed to work his way through the field. Augustine finished 6th ahead of Ben Cook, Graham Turner, Williams and Robinson.
Yeah, for the first race, it was wet. It was really wet. It was really wet. Nick Burke had some special bridgestones on it. It didn't really help the other competition too much, so he probably won by about 3 minutes. Yeah, so for the second race, it sort of dried up. It was pretty much the only patch of dry racing we had all day. It was really good. Fell right in our race. It was a Le Mans start, and we didn't start too well. We missed the start. Carl Cox is holding it for me. He did a great job. Turned the key on when he was supposed to. Did all the right things. Felt like he threw me to turn one, but it was really good.
The bike ran faultlessly for race one in the wet. It went really, really well. Unfortunately for race two, the bike developed its mechanical problems again with its electrical fault, and it didn't want to clear for probably the first 100 metres or so. However, I ended up slipping back to what we think was probably about 15th. I believe I clawed my way back up to 5th. So yeah, all in all, a good day.
Yeah, so my impression of the Hyosung Cup here today at Hampton Downs, it being the first round as well, is the first time that I've got to actually see what the guys can actually do here on the track with these machines. Now these machines are absolutely fair. Yes, I think you're allowed to change the exhaust system if you want, but primarily everyone has exactly the same power, exactly the same speed. The attitude towards all the riders is absolutely fantastic. There's a massive camaraderie here between anyone that's riding that's 14 years old to anyone that jumps on a bike that are over 50, maybe 60 years old. It's just great. It actually mixes up all the field for racing. Even sometimes I like to feel like I can never go myself, but maybe that's another story. There is prizes to be won. You can feel that you're a part of something of which you are involved in the end of the day, which it hasn't got to do with money. It's got to do with the attitude and what you can bring to the table based on your ability to race, or wanting to race. And the Hyosung Cup gives you that ability to do that. My input to it all is just basically the icing on the cake. The actual fact of the matter is that I acknowledge the fact that there is some really good talented riders out there. There's going to be some superstars outside of this Hyosung Cup eventually in the future. So that's what's really nice for me, to be involved in something which is burgeoning to a point that actually it could go a lot further. And you know, behind me you can see the rabble of everyone that's still here for the initial prizes, what you're going to see, and basically who came third, who came second, who came first. But as you'll see, everyone's super happy for everyone, even just to be involved in this series, and I'm really looking forward to obviously seeing how we go for the rest of the season in round 2, round 3, and of course the final, round 4.
So at the completion of round 1, it was Jacob Stroud who sat atop of the points ladder on 135 points, followed by Nick Burke on 124 and Avalon Biddle on 103. Michael Patchett was next, followed by Esmond Williams, Alex Butson, Josh Augustine, Jason Robinson and Grant Cullen. Ben Cook rounded out the top 10 on 68 points. The next round of the Cox Motorsport Hyosung Cup takes place on the 19th of November on the Hampton Downs Club Circuit. Last season's racing on the tight and technical track proved to be extremely close, and with competition already looking tight, it should be a cracker.